I hope I put it on mute. Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Middle Grade Monthly. I am here with Jade.
Me. I'm a regular here. You know me. I'm Jade.
Yeah, this is Jade. JD Ray Reads, my lovely co-host of Middle Grade Monthly for the past 15 months now. Is it 12, 13, 14, 15? Something like that. I can't count.
14.
14. 14. 14. Okay, well, a long time. The long and short of it. But we are joined today by a very special guest. This is not Baby Alston. I know usually when we have a guest,
I wrote the book. You're welcome.
It was just under a pen name.
Mm-hmm.
But Jess, do you want to introduce yourself and your channel, what you like to read, and just pretty much sell yourself to the audience, you know?
Okay, we'll see how good I can do this. I'm Jessica. So my channel name is Jessica Nicole Dickerson. I read a variety of things. Mostly, I would say YA contemporary has been my jam this past year. I just love me some fluffy stuff that gets a little bit, talking about that little bit of trauma, just a little spice. But I also do like fantasy. I've been diving more into classics and adult fiction. So I try and just read as much as humanly possible. And manga and comic books. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. It's a mess.
Webtoons,
Webtoons or everything.
It's an array of things. So you just don't know what you're gonna expect, which is great. That's the way I love my booktube channels. So
sporadic, love it.
Exactly. But I do have Jessica Nicole Dickerson's YouTube in the description box. It is, that fancy @mention thing, so you can literally just click on it and go straight there. So yeah, please do go and subscribe. So before we get into the book, Jade, do you want to talk or at least mention what we are reading next for April?
I hate it when you make me do this because I'm really bad at summarizing books.
That's why I love doing it.
So next month, which if my memory serves me is going to be April, I think.
Yeah.
Next month's book shall be The Witch's Boy by Kelly Barnhill. This beautiful piece of literature here. I mean, I haven't read it yet. I don't know about that. But I am so excited about this one purely because of how much I love The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. It's a beautiful, wonderfully written, made me cry with just how it was written. I thought it was fantastic. So when I heard that there was another one that I had not yet got my teeth into, I needed to suggest that we do it for this. And from what I know about this is about a boy called Ned who lives near an enchanted forest, and there is a Raider King and the Raider King's daughter, and he bumps into the daughter in the enchanted forest, and he awakens some sort of power. But I don't know. I go into books not knowing all the time, so when you make me summarize things, I panic. I don't want to know.
Yeah, that's the thing. We kind of like to go in a little unprepared, and we're always surprised. But it's funny you mention it because, she did write The Girl Who Drank the Moon, but I had no idea this was a thing. Like, I genuinely did. Like, considering how big The Girl Who Drank the Moon was, like, it's like a booktube beloved favorite, middle grade. Yeah. I genuinely had no idea this was a thing. So this is April.
Actually published.
Oh, actually, you know what? You could have a point here. It could be absolutely brand new, but I have no idea.
It was published in the UK in 2020, but it was published in the States in 2014.
Oh.
What? Whoa, that's a big gap.
Yeah.
Well, rude.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I literally just looked at the
copyright thing. Yeah. I had no idea about that either, but it does sound amazing, Jade. I do think you sold it really well. I'll briefly say that Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky by Kwame Mbolia is the May pick, and May Might Add in the End of the Rainbow by Benjamin Dean is the June pick. So we thought we would go advance. We would let you know what we were reading in advance.
Plenty of time for you to get your hands on the next books.
The books. Plenty of time. So let's see who is in the chat. Hi, Mindy. Hi, Nina. Oh, Tracy is in the chat too. Oh, yes, Pris is not going to be here tonight. She did lose her grandma. And we are sending you so much love and support, Pris. We love you so much. And we hope to see you next month in the chat, because you are the glue that holds Middle Grade Monthly together. So send you so much love. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Nina. Lots of love for Pris in the chat, of course. Carrie's power keeps flicking on and off because of a storm. I mean, that's scary. I hope you're okay.
Fingers crossed it holds up and you're okay.
Hi, Courtney. Hi, Barbara. Oh, hello. Oh, well, yeah, welcome to the madhouse. Jessica, welcome to... Yay. I mean, you wouldn't want to be anywhere else on a Saturday, am I right?
Not at all. I'm totally glad to be in the madhouse.
Completely completing the book minutes before the live show. I mean, that is punctual. Yeah, that is like really impressive though. I did reread it today as well, so I'm all good to go. Hello.
I will admit I'm a little bit nervous because I read it for Bookopoly-thon. So I read it in the middle of the night with no sleep. So
it's a great time to reflect on your reading.
Yeah. See how this goes.
Yeah, well, you know what? We'll remind you. Pris also says hello. Always great to have you. Hello, Becca. Hiya, Paige. Thanks for subscribing to Jessica.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. That looks so cute. You know what? It does look like a cute middle grade. I think the tone about the Witch's Boy, it does look so cute. Oh, and it's on Libby. So if anybody doesn't have it yet, it is on Libby. Apparently, so that's good. It might be on Script too. Who knows? Probably not in the UK because we didn't get it for like 6 years. So
we apparently had to wait a real long time.
The Witch's Boy, Kelly Barnhill. That one. Hello, Danielle. I love Jade. I love it when you do that because it's, you know, like those dealership models. Yep.
Do you want to read a middle grade fantasy? Are you off for some witchy content?
Oh my god.
Does a boy named Ned interest you?
Just the name Ned. I'm there.
Just Ned.
Try the Witch's Boy by Kelly Barnhill. Join us next month for a live show all about it.
Oh my gosh. I'm sold. I am. It's on hold at the library. Should be able to read at the beginning of April. I mean, that's all good. We'll not be talking about spoilers just yet. We are just going to say hello to everybody. Oh, again, another person who finished literally 10 seconds ago. And I love to see the love. Yes. So as I'm getting through some of these comments, what did everybody rate it in the chat and in, you know, my beautiful co-host tonight? What did everybody rate it here? Let me know. 5, 4. That's good. So there's generally a lot of love for this book. So, and I gave it 5. I did give a 5 too. That
is the most 5 stars I've ever seen come through in the comments for one of these at one time.
Oh my god, I have. Okay, I'm not even up to that yet.
That's a lot of 5s. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay, I jumped. It jumped. Okay, let's have a look. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Infinite stars. That is a lot. That is a lot. We've got a 4.5 here. Jessica, did you give a 4.5 or 4? Was it?
I gave it a 4.5 in my vlog, and then now I'm that person who's like announces what they rate it and then changes it like a month later, like it's a 4. But I still love it. A 5 for me, like I would want to reread it like constantly. Okay. So at 4 is more like I really loved it and I'm going to continue the series. It's just not like an all-time favorite. I'm trying to be more selective with my 5s.
That's fair. That's fair. Tracy gave a 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Oh my god, there really is a lot of 5s. But we do have another 4 here. Don't worry, Jessica, you're not alone. You are not alone. 4.5, 5. Read it earlier in the month, gave a 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. 5 days. Like, I love it. I love it. Highlight of the year so far. Amazing. 5. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we have not. Has anybody given it a 3? Anyone lower than a 4? Anyone lower than a 4? Let me know, because Nadine started it today. I hope you love it. Do let us know what you rated it, and if you gave it less than a 4. Was one of my favorite books so far. Nice. 4 stars, but it's so close. I feel like maybe Jessica's like in the same kind of boat.
Same boat, yeah.
Yeah. 5, 5, 4. Jumped again. Oh, you picked it up at Walmart on Gav's and Ashley's recommendation. Haven't seen a single rating lower than a 4-star anywhere. I mean, I'm gonna have to dig through Goodreads because, like, somebody's got to have, but I kind of hope they haven't because, like, we do love it so much here. But yeah, okay, so that was a lot of 5 stars, and like we're in the 10-minute mark, so I feel like we will be talking about spoilers now. For anybody who has not yet read it, then I will suggest maybe dipping out, and maybe when you've finished reading it, coming back to hear our thoughts and our discussion on it, maybe. So yeah, shall we start talking then about our favorite things about it? So usually, Jessica, I don't know if you know, but like we first go through characters, and then atmosphere, and then writing, and then plot, and then intrigue, then logic, then enjoyment. Yeah. So we'll start with characters. Like, what did we think about the characters? Jessica, since you're our special guest, do you want to start?
Sure. I mean, let me see. I really did enjoy the characters. I really liked it. I don't know if I should already gripe on the one thing that I don't like, which is the character thing.
Okay. No, I mean, you can. Like, go for it. Go for it.
Okay. The only thing, and this is why debating between 4 to 5, for me personally, when I pick up a middle grade and the girl on the cover looks like me and I get so excited, there's kind of a trope about like girls from the hood. And I just would love to see in the future, like, that we kind of break away from that stereotype or not break away completely. I really appreciate the representation. And I talk about this in my vlog, Reading the Book. If you have any questions, I talk about it better there. But I just feel like sometimes we rely on this narrative that to get out of the hood, one, you have to be smart. Like, you can't just be an average person. You have to be smart to get out of a place of like oppression, which is just a little bit stigmatized in a way. And I just like, for the character of her feeling isolated and alone, like, I really loved that exploration, but I do wish that it didn't come solely from the fact that she came from a neighborhood that was considered ghetto. That's just, it rubbed me a little the wrong way. So that's the only thing. But otherwise, the characters were so exciting, and I did love the exploration of like self-confidence and self-love and believing in yourself.
Yeah, I totally get that. I'm trying to think about, because it happens a lot in YA as well, like young adult books, is that it does rely a lot on characters who have had a really tough past because they do live in the hood. And it was called something else in Amari and the Night Brothers. Was it called The Wood?
They called it The Wood because of Rosewood projects. Yeah.
And I mean, I remember when I did my interview with Baby Alston, I think he said he was like really just like writing from like his kind of experience when he was like writing Amari. But I totally like agree with you as well, just in the fact that it would be so great to see that young kids from a really tough background, a really poor background, that they don't have to have the smarts, they don't have to be the most powerful being in the world to escape from that. Like, they can actually do it just because they are themselves. They can like, they don't have to have like this fantastical way out kind of thing. Like, that's what I felt like that. I can totally see where you're coming from. Like, it felt like a magical way out for Amari. Whereas I can totally see where you're coming from. Yeah. What about you, Jade?
Obviously I agree. However, of course it's going to be a magical way out because it's a magical book.
Of course it is. It's fantasy, yeah.
And I love the magic.
I don't think that's necessarily a negative stereotype to say that she's had this magical way out, because otherwise it would be a very different book. So give us some credit for that. But also, I'm really intrigued with Jaden's character at the very end, because he's not the smart guy that's going to get out of this. He is going to have help, I assume, and that's how the sequel might go. So I'm interested to see the differences in their journeys when we get around to that. But of course, that's not
That's
quite.
really
quite
no,
his.
that's really interesting actually, because I wish I had wished I had asked Baby Alston like what his plan was going into the second one. Like, will we see more of Jaden's journey, and like will that be some kind of like juxtaposition with Amari's journey?
I'm really hopeful.
Yeah, same, because I think this world that Baby Alston's created for these characters is definitely like this huge it has this huge scope that goes like beyond like Rosewood and like even beyond the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs. Like when you hear so much about what's out there, there's just like so many like realms of possibilities. But like characters wise as well, I did love Amari as a character, like her drive and the fact that people were always telling her that she wasn't good enough and she was always judged. I remember, and I forgot about this from the first time I read it, but when I reread it, there was an agent at the start who automatically gives her a cardboard badge because he assumed that she would be nothing really in this world. So like they had the badges that were, you know, like a rank thing, and he just automatically assumed she was like a cardboard badge, and like she was like at the bottom of the rankings kind of thing. Actually, no, there was two others that were underneath her, but like she was low to the bottom. But she proved them wrong. Like what I loved about Amari is that she was constantly proving people wrong. Everyone, well, actually, apart from Elsie, like Elsie as a best friend, she saw the potential in Amari from the beginning.
I also think that Agent Fiona did as well, though.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I was going to mention, she's also a favorite character of mine. I just loved how she kind of knew how the world is, and it's like, I'm preparing you for the world, but at the same time, I'm rooting for you. I really love that. And not in that kind of typical, like, you're the best. Like, she didn't have to express it. She was just like, I'm watching you. You better prove us wrong, right?
Yeah, and what's a great testament to Fiona as a character as well is because even though she's an adult in a middle grade, I feel like, you know, a lot of middle grades fall into this trap where adults are ignorant or they kind of turn a blind eye to things or they don't act like adults. With Fiona, like say towards the end when Amari's going off on this dangerous adventure that is probably a bit too big for her, and then she runs into Fiona before her and Dylan, you know, go to the final battle. Well, you know, the final climax, and Fiona's like, stop, like, what are you doing? Kind of thing. Like she kind of tries to stop them, but she obviously can't. But it's what she explains to Amari, saying like, you know, this is too dangerous for you. You shouldn't be doing this. Like she was an actual adult and not just like an willfully ignorant adult. And then at the very end, she was like, next time, make sure you come to an adult. Make sure you have these kind of conversations with, you know, grown-ups. And like I kind of liked how real she felt, and it didn't, like, for me, the logic usually falls with characters that don't act like you know, an adult or a child, you know. But I thought Baby Alston did a fantastic job depicting the characters and their age ranges. So
I can't remember the other agent's name, the male agent who gives her the look, which she interprets as "go and save the day," whereas the reality was the look of "go and get a grown up."
Yeah. If anyone remembers his name, do let us know. Everything was a 9 for Dem, 9 for characters. Dylan was such a surprise. Yes, so I guess it isn't too. We said spoilers. Dylan is definitely a huge surprise. Actually, upon rereading, I wanted to see if I could work it out earlier because I knew the twist. And you know what? There were little moments that I think were put in quite early, because when he first gives Amari the book that, you know, teaches her about things.
The evil stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And the first thing it tells her is don't trust. Like that's the first rule that she had to follow from this book, is don't trust, don't take anything at face value. And it was the fact that she first opened that with him around. It was like I missed that completely to begin with. And there was just like other little moments where he was doing his illusions that we found out later on, and she would always mention him. So when she first gets the texts from the Magic Girl, from Magic Girl, and then the first thing she does is she says she looks over at Dylan and he's not doing anything, and like that was a little bit of a red flag to me the second time around, because there is this emphasis on him making illusions, and that was like the one thing that him and Amari connected with. So it was the fact that she she said Dylan and then everyone else. Like, I don't know if that was like an intentional thing, but because I knew the twist, I was like, there is more of an emphasis on Dylan whenever she gets these texts and whenever these things happen. Like when the hybrids attack as well. And you know how it's Dylan who is creating the illusion of his sister. Like, and she emphasizes on Dylan. And I'm just like, maybe this is a subconscious thing from Amari that's kind of being put into the narrative. And I found that really clever. So yeah, Dylan was a surprise, but I feel like we should have seen it coming a little bit more. And I did see it coming more with a second reading. I don't know about you guys, like how surprised you guys were at it.
Totally took me by surprise. Did not see that coming. What I did see coming was the evil magician not actually being him in the prison.
You did?
I'm really struggling with names. I could see him being an illusion. I don't know if I expected him to be someone else in disguise or if I expected it to just be an illusion in general, but I saw it coming that evil guy was not actually in prison. I did not see it coming that Dylan was the apprentice.
I
were you surprised?
Like the page before realized that it was Dylan. I was like, he's acting like the page before when he started being like, just trust me, go. You just have to do it. I'm like, he's evil. No one says that unless they're evil.
Yeah.
No, that's true, actually. Yeah, I found that with a lot of like middle grade stuff with like twists like that, you start to get a sense of them like just before the reveal, and it's definitely apparent in this one as well. I especially like the elevators. That was genius.
Yes, agree.
Was it Lucy? I think Lucy the elevator. Oh, so sassy. I loved it.
Whoever had to wear slippers to get into the elevator, whichever elevator that one was my favorite. I think he was like a kind of uppity elevator. It was great.
Yeah, because he was like, oh, I'm running around, running kids around, and you know, when Amari wanted to go to the director, I think it was, and he was like, I'm too good enough to this is what I've been reduced to, kind of thing. I love that. One of my few issues with the book is that I felt like I didn't know what most of the characters looked like. Yeah, I guess there wasn't really too many descriptions in this book of characters or really too much of the world, I guess. I didn't really think about it when I read it, to be honest. I don't know about you guys.
I have such a habit of, even when there are character descriptions, I skim over them because I see them the way I see them. And if you tell me now that they've got green hair, they've still got blue hair to me. Like, that's not going to change. So I don't think I paid attention to any.
I also give people a face, so I'm like, I didn't pay attention to the description either.
Yeah, I try not to too. Because it plays out as a movie in my head, so I'm just like, I'm casting this myself. I have Jessica Nicole Dickerson as Amari, and characters in 9. A middle grade found surprisingly well developed. Since I don't read much middle grade, but I do see your point, Jessica. Yeah, like I feel like a lot of the characters had a lot of backstory, and not even just Amari, but Elsie. One of the first things we learn about her is that her parents have died, and she's the last of her kind. Dylan and his sister as well. I felt, even though they were, I mean, Dylan was villainous in the end, but even before that, they were quite humanized in a way. I like that as well. Good touches to them.
And to be clear about my point, I'm not saying that we can't do these stories anymore. I'm just saying I would love to see different stories alongside it. Like, it's just like, I feel like sometimes you keep seeing that pattern of I come from the hood. And then there's like all these other classes and other places and opportunities for people to start from. So that's it. I still loved it. And I think the story, again, what Jade said, wouldn't be what it is without this element. So I do love it. I'm waiting to see more. I'm like, I'm excited. This book was great. Let me see something different, you know?
Yeah. We will find that book. We will. Amari's mom was a unique character, definitely. And especially since it made a lot of sense for the fact that she really wanted Amari to do this like business thing, and like she thought this was going to be incredible for her future. So it wasn't it like, it just that dynamic, especially since, you know, after Quentin had, you know, disappeared, and then it kind of drove this wedge between them. And I think there was a moment where Amari said that her mum would come home and she'd be crying in her bedroom, but then when Amari went outside of her bedroom, she said she couldn't hear her mother crying anymore. And I was just like, oh my God, that is just like, it was so sad and so sad. But like, you could tell that they did have that kind of relationship, and her mum was just not this cardboard parent that you find in a lot of middle grades, I felt. But yeah, favorite character was Elsie. Who was everyone else? What was your favorite character, Jade?
Amari.
Amari. What about you, Jessica?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hard. I don't have favorite. I think blanketed Amari, but I also will say that I really did like the mom character, especially like the idea of when Amari tries to like sneak out of the house that the neighbors are watching because the mom will tell like the neighbors to watch her. I just love that's just such a mom thing to watch my kid. Dude, don't move. So I really love, I think this is the family unit of them. It was really fun to watch.
100%, yeah. I would probably say, yeah, again, Amari is like one of my favorites, but one of the more interesting and really great to watch develop was Dylan. I do love a villainous character and like that villainous reveal. I wouldn't say he's my favorite character, but he was probably one of my favorites to read because you could totally get his intentions a bit because when I've forgotten, I've just read this book again. I've already forgotten what the main villain is called. I'm sure it began with an M. Can't remember. Oh, Agent Magnus was the other guy. Agent Fiona and Agent Magnus. Who was
Moreau?
Oh, Moreau sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does. Is it Monroe? Moreau?
Moreau.
I would even look.
Yeah, definitely. It was when Dylan, the whole confrontation, and then Dylan realized that Moreau was going to kill Amari for her powers, and then that was kind of when he flipped and he was like, no, that's not right, that's not what I wanted. But then of course then Dylan was like, okay, Amari's still not going to join me, so you're going to have to go. Like that was an interesting moment because there was the fact that Dylan did care enough for Amari to want to save her to begin with, and then we had another kind of little twist there as well, but I just love that kind of thing. I love not knowing a character through and through, whereas I feel like with Amari I feel really comfortable with Amari. I feel like I know Amari after reading this book and I can see what her intentions are and all of that, so I'm more interested in seeing like maybe Dylan in the future, maybe even Elsie as well, because Elsie does transform and that was really exciting. But yeah, it's just I just can't wait for the next one as well.
Yeah, I also like the lineup that like it seems like Dylan and Amari are going to be like mortal enemies. They're going to be constantly fighting for like the place of like the top or whatever it is in the magical world.
Yeah, and it's just the possibilities around this because like my mind is going places with that. Like, is it going to be a case of them just kind of having this history together now, and they're going to be so torn, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know, it's just going to be incredible. And the fact that it's only going to be 3 books as well, there's not even going to be like 9 that I wanted. It's just
how dare there not be 9?
I know. Did not see it coming. Had an inkling one of the kids, but realized Laura was so self-centered. I felt like she was definitely portrayed as going to be the more villainous one. Like it was because I was rooting for Dylan. I really was, because the way he really protected Amari from the other kids. Like he would, when everyone was not sitting next to her and everyone was like sitting on the floor instead, and then Dylan actually came up and sat. Like I was like, that is like the sweetest thing. But then I'm just like, oh God, like I was definitely rooting for him.
Can we talk about the parallel at the end there, though, where Lara comes up to Amari and hugs her, like, thank you for bringing my sister back. Even though we've just banished your brother, you don't care about him anymore.
I know.
A hug for bringing the sister back and acknowledging that she's done something really good for her. And that kind of came out of nowhere, but like heartwarming.
Yeah, it really was. And I just didn't expect it from her as well.
I didn't. So I was expecting her to spit on Amari or something crazy. Like the whole book, she's like, I'm getting my own sister back. And it's like the second Amari brought the sister back, she's like, oh, come, hug me. You did it. It's like,
it will be interesting to see if that, exactly. It will be interesting to see if that carries through though in the next one. I don't know if that's going to be like just a moment that she'll end up brushing under the rug, like, oh, that never actually really happened. You know what I mean? And she might go back to being like her kind of nemesis. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I don't know if that's possible though, because I think Amari is going to be really close with, I can't remember the older sister's name, but now that they both are joining the like League of Magicians or whatever it is, I don't think Lara is going to be able to have that negative relationship with Amari anymore because her sister will get in the way.
Yeah. And the only reason for their negative relationship was because of the sister being gone and blaming the brother and then realizing that her brother was the cause of everything. It's like she has no reason to hate on Amari.
Yeah.
Exactly. With the title of the book, there really was not that much in the book with the Knight brothers. That was mainly just like it was definitely like a background kind of ominous thing, I guess. Like, I think it promises more in the future than it did right in this book. Because we did have the whole story with like the Black Key and the Black Book and all of that, but yeah, it wasn't really. Yeah, I can say that.
Yeah, but all those attacks too that kept happening were the Knight brothers, right? Or at least publicly said that the Knight brothers were doing all those attacks.
Yeah, that's true. And again, it's probably something that'll probably be more developed in the future, maybe. Or I think Amari trusted Dylan way too easily. Like, he said no to trust, and she was instantly trusting him. I think it was mainly because Amari she didn't really have many friends growing up, and she felt more compelled to people who showed her kindness. And Dylan, I mean, he manipulated her, which is like why he's like definitely like the villain of the story. He manipulates her emotions. So yeah, I mean, it's the way that she also became really fast friends with Elsie, but Elsie turned out to, still be good that we know of. What if she turns out to be evil as well? Ooh. Ooh.
I don't none of that.
But... Well, that's why I'm not writing the books, okay? But yeah, I think it wasn't just the magician connect. I think it was that he was being really kind to her, and he sat next to her, and and he did have the magician connection. She finally felt connected to someone on that front because she was confused. But yeah, sorry, I'm so behind on these comments. I'm so sorry. A lot of people didn't see it coming though. Some people didn't see the magician swap coming. I didn't. Jade did. Did you see the magician swap coming, Jessica?
I did not. I was shocked. I was like, we're all the world's gonna burn. We're lost. Everything's done.
Yeah, like that was a good moment though, because it was definitely that moment could have happened in like the last book. You know what I mean? It was that kind of moment where that's when like I don't really want to swear, but like when SHIT hits the fan and you realize that there's that big of a threat is out there. But
I think part of the thing that gave it away for me with the magician swap thing is like one of the first things he says to her is, "I'm telling you a lie," and then proceeds to tell her 3 truths. And it's like, well,
okay,
there we are.
Yeah. And you are apparently sleep deprived as well at the time of reading this.
Yeah.
So
she's that's a lie? Okay, taking that at face value.
I mean, it's a small thing to do, to be fair. Marole, yeah. It's because I listened to it audibly the second time around. I had no idea. I don't even know if audibly is a word.
Yeah.
Also, what do we think about the covers as well? Sorry, just before we get onto the atmosphere, what do we think of the covers, guys? Like, they're both beautiful. I don't have a preference.
I prefer the UK one.
You do? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe just because I'm from the States. I'm just like, I don't know.
I don't think I've seen the US one that up close though. Can you show me the face? Oh, you both. Oh, have you got a purple guys?
I do. This one's from Alcrate Jr.
Yeah, I just love how like her hair and her facial expression. I just think it's all like perfect. It's just so fluffy. I just want to. It's so fluffy.
Something about the face looks creepy to me.
It's because it's more realistic. I feel like it's definitely.
I need to look it up to look at it properly because it's a little bit pixelated through the.
It's definitely super realistic. Like the trailer that kept coming out for like the marketing for this book. The marketing. The trailer that he posted of like the whole scene coming to life and using like the illustration was so beautiful. I was just like, oh, I need a physical copy.
Yes, I 100% agree. But I also do think it's because the face looks more realistic. Because then
I'm now looking up close. Yeah, the proportions are more realistic, and
there's more like shading.
I will say the lighting in the UK cover is really nice, where like the light is like striking her face and things like that. Whereas the US one is a little bit more realistic and like not as like dramatic. I feel like. Yeah,
and Jade loves her dramatic stuff. Honestly, she does. She's a drama queen.
She's like,
So while Jade looks at the cover,
I'm done. Sorry.
It's okay. Shall we talk?
Curious. I couldn't work out what about it was giving me kind of creepy vibes. Like it looked a little bit spooky, but I think it is just because illustration that doesn't look realistic but has realistic proportions makes my brain go. Ugh.
Yeah.
Person, what?
I mean, we could probably talk about characters like forever, because there are so many great ones. But what do we think about the atmosphere then? How do we think Baby Alston created atmosphere in this? Did you feel it at all, Jade?
I mean, I'll tell you that I gave atmosphere a 10 on Core Pile.
Hey, that's good. That's good. What was it that you loved about it?
The whole thing. I felt it all. Especially in the, what was it called? The Bureau?
Bureau, yeah.
Like, having all of the creatures just everywhere and the witches just, like, flying around and, like, the chaos was amazing.
Yeah. Just speechless. Jade is just speechless. What did you think about?
It felt so incredibly real. It was one of those things, like, in my head I keep comparing it to Nevermore in relation to Nevermore's a book where I always say, like, the setting and the atmosphere of it feels very real for something fantastical. Like, you know it's not real, but it feels it, and it very much could be. And I think the same translates for this. Like, it could very well be real. It felt very real and very well developed.
Oh yeah, I think it was because of that transition, isn't it, from like the real world into the fantasy world. But it kind of, the fantasy world is there. It's like it's always been there, and it's just like it had that glamour thing. So when Amari could see her neighbor as a witch, like when she finally got to see her as a witch, like it was like magic has been all around forever, and but you could feel that through like the writing and through Baby Alston depicting this world. So I totally get what you mean, Jade, when you said like all the chaos happening. It was the scene when she finally gets into the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs and she sees like the fairies and the witches, and but it, like it all comes together. Like there's all these different supernatural things and beings, and it just all comes together. It's like this one big world. So yeah, I totally agree with that. What about you, Jessica?
I completely agree. Like the first scene where like the brothers like saved like glasses thing, that whole scene where he's like, let's go on this boat and see the Atlantic like train system. I was like, what? I really thought it was so cool. And I really like that I think what felt so real to me was like it was aspects you hear about in stories about like witches and ghosts and Atlantis and all these things that you hear about, but we often are like, oh, that's real. So I loved how we kind of spin that on its head, and it's like, well, it's, you don't think it's real because this bureau works really hard to make sure you don't know it's real. So I'm like, I really love that it played with things that we already think aren't real. So the atmosphere was like perfect. I loved it. And I really loved that whole scene where they were like sailing and like, this is the real world and I want to introduce you to it. And ever since then, it just gets crazier and crazier. I'm just like, I liked it.
Good. And it's going to continue as well. Like, I can only imagine it's going to
get wild. I'm waiting for the Loch Ness Monster to make an appearance.
Yes, we love ourselves a Loch Ness Monster. And a lot of people are like comparing it to Men in Black. I think that's how it was promoted as well. I think like, what was it? Nevermore meets Men in Black, I think is what people were calling it. And you could definitely say that because it does have that trial element. So what helped me feel the atmosphere as well is that we had Amari coming into this whole new world that she didn't understand yet, and you could feel that through her, but like it also helped make this world feel a lot more scary and like a lot more bigger than we probably would if Amari was somebody who always knew the supernatural world existed. So we do get that kind of transition into it really nicely, and I think my favorite part of the book is the world and like the bureau and what would be my favorite? I think, you know, when she was doing the trials and it was when Laura was blackmailing her, and it was when she did the first task. I think it was like mind sleeping or something, or it was like they all did the sleeping, the lying
first trial
thing. Yeah, the first trial, and like they were all sleeping, but it was like a mind thing. I loved how different that was, because the task for that was to like retrieve the most valuable thing or something, and it turned out to like be the water was like the most valuable thing, and I loved that connection. Like I felt, I'm not gonna lie, like I love Nevermore and all of everything else. But like trials for middle grade books are rather straightforward, and there's not really a lot of complex thinking behind it. But I felt like there was in this one. I felt like it was a lot more. I don't know. It just felt a lot more harder and like a lot more. Yeah, a lot more. Yeah, that's it. Like challenging. That's the word I could not think of. It felt like a more challenging world for Amari, so she didn't just like step into it and like all she had to do was be there, and then everything would happen.
Naturally good at it. You know?
Yeah, but there was actually like a lot of challenges for her to overcome, and even towards the end, like she still hasn't mastered everything. There's still so much she needs to do, and I just felt like that was probably like my favoriteest part of it. I probably went off on a tangent there because it's not really relating too much to the atmosphere, but the atmosphere to me was Amari being so new to the world, and the world being challenging around her. That was my atmosphere.
And it's cool because at the end, when they introduced the whole League of Magicians, it's like we still don't have a scope of the world. We still don't. Yeah. I love that.
Exactly, yeah. Men in Black, James Bond. Oh, also, yeah, because the League of Magicians, because magicians are so reviled and like people are scared of them and stuff, and it's kind of like yeah, there's so much more that we need to learn about it. And Shadowhunters only middle grade. I've never read Shadowhunters.
I haven't either.
I think Jade read the first one, right?
Oh, many, 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 many years ago.
And it's a no. In the beginning, I had Men in Black. First time in the agency, felt so real. Yeah, I guess it did feel a lot like Men in Black, but I felt like it definitely came into its own. A lot of it, like it was very original. A lot of the things that happened in it, and I think that's going to more happen towards the end as well. Loved it. It was intense. Missed a little more description and actual school scenes, but I agree it felt so real. Yeah. Love the Men in Black vibes. Shadowhunters only more modern, so that was the rest of that comment. Sorry, I totally missed the rest of that comment. Oh yeah, the fact the bureau is hidden in a hotel, totally. Yeah, because is it Hotel Decalion in Nevermore? Yeah.
There are definitely a lot of parallels with Nevermore. There's the trials, there's the hidden world within the real world, there's the fact that she's an illegal magician versus an illegal wondersmith. Like,
oh yeah, no, you're right. And you know what's funny as well is that Baby Alston and Jessica Townsend have the same agent as well. So that I don't know if that means anything. Probably doesn't, because
if you want to write middle grade.
Exactly. Amari kind of pulled Dylan along in the tasks. Yeah, because in the first one, didn't Dylan like kind of drop out, like, and then Amari was the one who didn't take the crown, even though Dylan was angry that she didn't take the crown. But it was Amari with her instincts. Yeah, that's correct.
And that's why Dylan wanted to partner up with Amari. He's like, I can't do it with my sister. She's gonna make me lose for sure. I need Amari.
We all need Amari. Yep. Oh, it reminds me of Spy Kids, but better. I loved Spy Kids.
Yes, I get that.
Oh, this is a good question. What job in the bureau would you have gone for? Junior agent.
I don't think I would have. I don't remember the other jobs well enough.
Yeah, actually, to be fair, I can't really remember the other ones. They weren't really a big focus of them, because as soon as Amari decided to pick what she wanted to go for, that's what was it that Elsie was going for?
Elsie did like the inventors something or other, didn't she? That seemed pretty cool.
That did seem pretty cool. And the only other job that I know of is like the people who file. I don't know why I think I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, so I could be the junior agent, you could file, and Jake can be the inventor. There we go.
Yeah, perfect. And I'm gonna be in the like coffee room gossiping about how great you guys are doing. It's like, they're awesome.
Yeah, good. Department of Bad Omens and Good Fortunes. Ooh.
Oh, that was a good one as well, actually. Yeah.
Work with the creatures. That would be cool too.
There was also an adventure guide. Maybe is that the job working with creatures? That would be a cool job too. Yeah.
It would, yeah, 100%. Especially since the creatures are so, again, like fantastical, so you just wouldn't know what to expect. Oh, you could also be a librarian. A library was beautiful. Then, sorry, like we've just talked so much about like the other stuff. So what about the writing? Did we love the writing style? Was that something where you
I
enjoyed?
feel like I have less to say about the writing style. I don't think there was anything too stylistic that stood out to me. It was, to me, very common middle grade writing. It was easy to follow, easy to read, but nothing about the style stood out to me.
Yeah,
I agree. Writing was one of the things that, like, when it comes to the columns of pros and cons, it kind of fell in like the con just because it was average. It wasn't like special.
Yeah.
Whereas like it was like, this isn't, I wouldn't recommend it for the writing style. I would recommend this book because of the world.
Yeah,
the world, the plot, the characters, and I mean, Tracy gave it a 10. Yeah, and it is a debut. You're absolutely fine. You're absolutely right. But yeah, I think it did lack some kind of like descriptions every now and then that I think a lot of people, especially in the chat, would have loved. But I again, I have no qualms with like anything to do with the writing. Like, it was, as you said, it was easy to follow, very fast paced. The chapters were nice and short too, so just like kept going and going. I loved it. So yeah, I mean, it kind of ties in really well with all the stuff about like the atmosphere and the characters that we were talking about, because it does take a great writer to be able to convey all of that. But it was mainly, yeah, as you said, it's just like the style. It's the style that just didn't really jump out at us. But the complexities of...
It's not got something that differentiates it from any other middle grade writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like good standard.
Points for atmosphere, but yeah, good standard.
Yes. And we can only go up from here as well. When we get more books from the series, it can only go up.
Oh yeah.
Really like the narration of the audiobook of the voice of Amari Parks. I will say as well, I did listen to the audiobook today, and it was a fantastically read audiobook. Really, really great to follow. And she just gave it so much character to Amari. So I just absolutely, I adored the audiobook. It was great. I would recommend, if you want to reread this book, listen to the audiobook 100%. So I mean, we have talked a lot about plot anyway, but was there anything in the plot, because we talked a lot about the positives, was there anything in the plot that maybe you didn't like as much, or anything story-wise that you probably could have done without?
Every time there was bullying of Amari, like, I get why it was done to highlight that she was different and she didn't fit in, and that's why this world was so challenging for her. But I think the bullying was ever so slightly overdone, just because it got to a point where it was too much, and I was like, I get it.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. I was thinking about like, and it compares to like Blackness in a sense. I feel like the bullying is like her being different, and like for her being in the ghetto and being underprivileged, and I feel like they kept paralleling those two, and it just kind of made me sad sometimes. I was like, we don't need this right now. But I guess like I again appreciate the representation. So every time they were bullying her, that's what I immediately thought of, and I was like, but you're so special. Look how special you are. And that's why I'm happy, because as a character, she proved them all wrong. But I do think some points was just like, it was hitting the nail too hard. It was like, my little heart.
Yeah, because I totally agree. I think there was a lot of trying to make it fit with Amari's life before the Bureau, and then Amari's life at the Bureau. And it was like a little bit too, like, not exactly obvious, but there were times when the bullies were doing things to Amari that just didn't make sense just on its own. Like, just the way they would like attack her. I'm trying to think of an example now, because I have literally just read it, but I'm terrible for this. I never annotate or anything like that, so I'm just like, but yeah, it was sometimes just a little bit too much. But honestly, when I tell you, almost every middle grade I read has bullies in it. It's always the same kind of thing. So it was something that I wish had been a little bit different, because I don't know, it would have been great if as you said, like, it would be nice to have had like a little bit of difference with this middle grade, like, you know, showing Amari's strength. It didn't have to come from the bullies, because it was only when Amari was well, not only from when Amari was being bullied, but when Amari was being bullied, it was always that, like, that we didn't need that for her drive. Her drive was finding Quentin. So it just felt like another added layer on top of that. I was just like suffocating Amari quite a bit. And you could feel that in her character. So it did make me sad as well. Like, I'm just like, I hate saying bullying, but like it made me sad, and I was just like, I just need Amari to come through, and she does, to be fair. But I would love a middle grade where they don't have to keep utilizing bullies to progress the main character to feel a certain way, or to push them to do something. Because Amari already had the drive, she already had the reason to keep going on, and it just, again, I was just feeling sad.
Yeah. I also feel like the challenge of the world itself would have been enough. Like the fact that it's a completely different world and having to learn from scratch. Like I can get some people laughing at you if you don't understand or follow the like conversation of like whatever Twitter world they were using. Like just the social norms that she didn't know. And I could see that there could have been so much complexity in that alone. I personally, you don't need the bullying to layer on top of it too.
Yeah. Bullying in books is always thought of it, when in real life it usually isn't, so it tends to come off as more of a plot point in writing. Yeah, I totally get that. I totally do. Laura being a mean girl, well, I guess that might have been the point of Laura's character though, because then we do have that moment at the end when she hugs Amari. So it was like, I don't know, like it made that moment feel even more special and like more of a barrier for Laura to overcome. To give Amari that kind of validation.
However, on the flip side of that, though, there's no consequence for Lara's actions. Lara gets what she wants in the end. She gets what she wants, and she gets to be happy about it, and there's no consequence for the way that she treated Amari.
Or any of the classmates at all. They're all like, I also feel like it's very interesting that they got away with all of that. And at the end, we're supposed to appreciate that Laura came out and hugged her. I'm like,
I would be like, parallel made between bullying because of her magic and the color of her skin. Amari's a strong girl no matter what people thought of it, and she kept pushing. She kept herself honest and driven. Yeah, there's a lot of parallels in this book. And there's a lot to unpack with that actually. But there are a lot of things that Baby does with Amari, and I think that's another testament to Amari's character, is that she goes through so much. Like honestly, like when I think of middle grade main characters who go through things, like just trying to think off the top of my head, I think Amari would be one of the ones at the top who has so many obstacles, more than anyone I can think of off the top of my head. I don't know. Laura was a stereotypical mean girl, usually proven wrong, and turns out to be a kind of nice person. I mean, for now, but again, like we would like to see maybe in the future, consequences for Laura in the future. See if she keeps up.
Does she turn out to be a nice person, or is she just emotionally overcome because her sister's back? But the reality is that she still doesn't actually like Amari. We don't know this because we haven't seen enough of the aftermath.
I forgot about the graffiti as well. That was quite intense.
That was very intense.
Yeah, and that was made me again hugely sad and almost like scared for Amari as well, because wasn't it when they had drawn her and they put like X over her eyes? Like that was just like,
that's a death threat. That's like expulsion. Like that's not, and then she gets sent away, or like she decides to leave because it's too much for her. So it's weird that how the schools are always kind of like, they don't take any responsibility for those actions. It's a little weird.
Yeah. First Amari wasn't sure of herself, I suppose, constantly being told you not wanted, you don't belong, gave her the drive. Sorry, I getting through Tracy's comments, but do you think adults should have been more aware of the bullying, but that is such a common problem in school settings? Like adults almost never know unless you go out of your way to tell them. Yeah, that's true.
And repeatedly tell them, because sometimes they don't believe you too.
Yeah, and usually they do want proof. Yeah, and usually they do want proof, is like sometimes as well. But sometimes it's not even like too obvious. I felt like with the bullying in this one, it was like more obvious because obviously the graffiti and everything. But I mean, this is also a good point. Like maybe it was Dylan who did that, because I do kind of believe when Laura said she didn't do it, because like she was a dam and she didn't.
Yeah, I do think like Laura's a horrible character, but I don't think she was that extreme. She was a typical mean girl. She wasn't going to kill her, whereas the evil magicians were. So
But I still feel like it was a student who did the X's and stuff because it's because of the environment that Laura brought into the school environment where it's like we're all going to isolate her. So it kind of fueled the flame for other people to behave poorly to Amari, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so I think some people have theorized it might be Dylan. But who knows? It would be good to find out, actually. Anyway, sorry. What about were you guys like really intrigued by the mystery of it all? Because we do have, we get like kind of hints towards the history about the magicians and why they're evil, or like why they're portrayed as being evil. Were you intrigued to find out then about kind of what was going on? Because when, like, for me personally, what my intrigue really spiked when the hybrids came into, I mean, obviously it was like Dylan and stuff, but like when the hybrids came in to steal like the Black Book, and I was just like, what's going on? Like, how is this? What? Yeah, like what's happened? How have they come into the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs? It's supposed to be protected. It's supposed to be safe. But also, I also just genuinely wanted to know what the hell happened to Quentin and like where he was. Like, so my intrigue for most of this book was rather high, but it spiked towards like the last act. Like the last act was like very like so I definitely felt my intrigue was like super, super high in this one. And what did you think, Jessica?
I was mostly interested in like Amari's magical ability because obviously it was kind of secretive, and that kind of parallels to Nevermore in the sense of like, we don't know this magical scope yet. Like you broke the scale. So that was my focus. I know the whole Quentin quest was interesting, but I was really focused on like, what can you do? What powers do you have? And that's why I think the next book is going to be even more interesting, learning more about magicians, because I think that was the really cool part, because I was just like waiting to see what she did and like her learning to use those kind of magical abilities. I think that was really exciting for me.
100% agree. What about you, Jude?
Totally agree. I think my intrigue was pretty high from the very beginning. Like as soon as we get a glimpse of the world, the intrigue was spiked with, I want to see the extent of this world. You've shown us this little piece of it that looks so magical. I'm intrigued to see the rest of it. And then when we get there and we see the off-the-charts magical ability that we know so little about, pretty much everything that you've just said, Jessica, but then also the mystery of not only Quentin, but Maria as well. And we kind of get the little glimpse of what their relationship was like and what was happening between them, and we see their office space and all of that. And I do think that mystery was quite intriguing as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah, 100%. And we've got like some really high ratings for intrigue too. We have to wait until next year to find out like other things, especially about the magicians. And actually, you raised a really good point, Jessica, as well, because I had no idea what Amari's powers would lead to, because when was it Moreau? When he was saying, like she was the most powerful magician he's ever felt since Vladimir, did he say? Like one of the earlier magicians?
One of the early ones.
Yeah, like since like one of the more powerful magicians from years and years and years ago. Like that, to me, I mean, obviously, with Amari having been such like a regular girl coming into this like supernatural world, and now she finds herself being one of the most powerful beings. Like, my intrigue in finding out how she copes with that, and like seeing how she navigates the world like in the future is going to be like so interesting to watch too. And just seeing like what will the limits of her powers be? Like, what is this going to do to her as a person? Like, what's it going to do to her family? Like her mum? Like, how much will she like really find out the scope of it all? Like, there's just so many levels to the intrigue and like what's going on that I think it's just going to be so interesting to see. Also, oh my god, like the end, when like she still talks to him, I was like sobbing because I was like, he better wake up. Like, if in the next book, like, could you imagine if Quentin just wake up? Like, that's going to kill me. That's going to kill me. So I really hope Baby Alston doesn't do that. But I'm intrigued again. Like, the intrigue just carries on, and like we have this League of Magicians now. Oh gosh, the intrigue! It's up there. Oh.
I am super intrigued with the League of Magicians thing.
Yeah,
and I'm so excited for it.
Yeah. Oh, so we're gonna have to like pester baby Alston on Twitter now. It was an 8 mostly because I was more intrigued by Amari and her powers and where Quentin and Maria were, but I didn't really care about the magicians. Oh, interesting. Magical Men in Black. I was intrigued from the start, 9 out of 10. Then the discovery of magic and power that comes with it. Yes. Like anything with like magic and fantasy, I'm always interested in seeing how authors portray magic and fantasy, because it's very hard to be like 100% original in books these days, because ideas have been done to death here, left, right, and center. But I just love to see specific authors' takes on things, and I feel like Baby Alston, like if he travels through the world, if we go to Atlantis, or if we see the Loch Ness monster, or things like that, I just I just want to see what he does with it, and like how he makes it his own, because it already feels like such a unique world, despite it having like witches and fairies and things that we've seen to death in loads of other fantasies. I'm ready to see what he does with it. Would have liked for her to be the most. I would have liked for her not to be the most powerful magician. Yeah, like the chosen one trope. How do we feel about a chosen one trope?
I thought it was interesting because also it's like, did Quentin know? Like, or did he just want to share that information with her that like, hey, there's this whole other world? It was very like, felt iffy about it. That like, I'm like, did people know?
I typically with chosen one tropes really dislike it because I hate it when a character comes across this new world that they've never experienced before and everything comes to them super quickly. I'm talking Keeper of the Lost Cities now. Like, chosen one trope in that physically makes me angry because there's no point in the plot, because nothing is a challenge. Everything comes super easy to the chosen one. Whereas in this, although she may be the most powerful magician there ever is, she has no idea how to use it. So she's not. Yeah. She might have that power, but she's not actually the most powerful magician because she's got no idea what she's doing. She doesn't know the world. She doesn't know her power. So everything is still a challenge despite her being really powerful. And I love that.
Yeah. And her strength comes from like her character, not from her powers, I feel like, for most of the book, which is a really great point.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, her character is powerful, but she doesn't have the power yet. Like, she is learning, and we are on that journey with her. Because like in Keeper of the Lost Cities, don't they just like think and it happens? And I'm just like, or they like just have to feel something and then it happens, and I'm just like, for God's sake, like, where's the nuance?
I can't relive that experience right now. Okay,
I'm sorry. Have you read Keeper of the Lost Cities, Jessica?
I've tried to read the first one.
Okay.
Tried. Keyword there, yeah.
Underline tried, yes.
I want Quentin to wake up and him and Amari and their friend, is it
Jaden?
Amari invites. Oh, Jaden, yes. To go on a mission together. Oh my God, that would be amazing. Yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I hope Jaden also becomes a junior agent. That'd be really cool.
Yes, or just something with that world. I just think there's so much potential there. And again, intrigued to see where the characters go to next. So the two last main points then are the logic and enjoyment. So logic, I felt, as we always say, as long as it doesn't take you out of the world, then the logic is there. And I felt like this was so well done in trying to keep it as, it felt contemporary to begin with because it was set in the real world. And the transition into fantasy, I thought it was done so well that the logic kept up because you got explained why you couldn't really see these magical things and like why it's always existed, but you just haven't really seen it before. It was so smart. So I would say I gave the logic quite a high rating. I might have given it like a 9, I think.
I gave it a 9. I think it was really cleverly done, very cleverly overlaid with the real world, and everything had an explanation behind it. Like when you think, why couldn't she see these magical things in the world? How has no one else come across this? It's all explained in the Blu-ray. I think it's really clever.
I feel like I'd have to give it a 10 because honestly, it's something that if I were like a middle grade reader, like if I were in that age group, that if I picked this up, I'd be like, where do I get these eye drops so I can see what's happening? Because I feel like it's so seamless. It's something that like could just easily be what our real world is like, but we just don't have the gateway to it yet, and you have to look for it. And I just feel like it's like so smooth and seamless.
Oh gosh, yeah, 100% agree. And I think I mentioned earlier as well, just like with the characters acting like their characters, you know, it's very easy for middle grade books to make somebody who's 10 years old, a 30-year-old, or like an adult be so willfully ignorant and just like not act like an adult. You know what I mean? This one just felt so true to itself, and it would not have worked as well if it hadn't have been for the characters being so like well equipped in that, but also the plot, because as we said, like, the fantasy world, it was a realistic fantasy world. It was, yes. Oh, as Anka said, Alston created a realistic fantasy world. Yeah, logic is usually a low category for me as well. I don't know why, but sometimes it is.
So smart. You guys catch on too quick.
It's true. This is why you're here.
I'm a good hype girl.
I loved how the neighborhood blamed her cheap concealer on Amari being able to see her witch.
The neighbor was a highlight. I really enjoyed her.
Yeah, I love how like her mum threatened her with the neighbor, like she's gonna be watching you. You know what I mean? I feel like everybody has that kind of neighbor. I know I do. There's when I was did. Because I don't need to be watched by my neighbor anymore, I promise. But when I was younger, we on my street there was a kind of nosy neighbor kind of person, but somebody my mum could rely on to make sure that I wasn't, you know, getting up to mischief with my friends, you know, on the monkey bars or like in the like little playground section or on the slides and the swings, and you know what I mean. But I love that as well. Oh yeah, some novellas and short stories from this world would be great, because if he's only going to do 3 books, that's too short. That's too short. Yeah, we're loving this neighbor. Like, has again a background character who we end up all really enjoying. Again, a testament to this book. Urban fantasy. Would you call this an urban fantasy?
Yeah,
I mean, technically, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really read urban fantasy. Well, not that I can think of. It's not really a subgenre that I ever think about.
I feel like most middle grades are urban fantasies because they're our world with some magic in it.
Oh.
Like Nevermore is an urban fantasy, technically.
Oh my God. I never ever thought of it like that. Oh my God. This is why I love these live shows. I always learn so much. Always. If someone read and loved Amari so much that they wanted to read more books like it, are there some other books you would recommend? I mean, we mentioned Nevermore a good few times. Have you read Nevermore?
The comparisons are very strong there.
Yeah.
I've read Nevermore and Wondersmith, and I just got Hollowpox, and I'm so excited for it.
It is very good. But Jess, you are right in the book haul video you did, because it does have a pandemic in it. And so
I'm a little scared.
It's just, I mean, it's the way that it had been written way before it all as well. And that was supposed to come out in May, like originally last year. And it's just like, it's scary.
We can blame the entire pandemic on Jessica Townsend. She put it into the universe. She let the universe know that this was on her mind, and poof.
It manifested itself. The Amari and the Night Brothers has been picked up by Universal, I believe. Yes. So that is going to be exciting. Comment for that.
It's going to make such a good film, I think.
Yeah, and I love the actress who's attached to it, because she's like one of the younger producers of our time, I feel like, and she's just so like talented, and I can't wait.
What's the name of the actress?
I don't even remember her last name. I follow her on Twitter. Wait, let me fix it. Let me educate myself real quick. Because she's from not Grownish. That's the older one. Blackish is the show.
Gosh, I love that show. For sure, urban fantasy. Yeah. Well, now I know. Gav's head just exploded. Well, yeah, it did. I just bought Mary and the Rising Dark.
Yeah. Similar vibes, I guess.
City of the Plague Lord, I really want to read that one. I really do. That one's a Rick Riordan Presents book as well, I think. Sounds really good. Oh, I keep hiccuping. I'm sorry. Starfell is very, I would say, a lot younger than Amari. Well, not younger because it's still middle grade, but it reads younger than Amari. But again, it is a really good fantasy adventure. Kane Chronicles. Yes, Carrie, it's getting a movie. Well, it's been optioned for a movie, and like they're talking about like casting and all of that. And what else was supposed to be made into a movie that it just didn't end up happening? I saw the author as well on Instagram talk about this the other day as well, and they said, "Oh no, I need to remember it now." It was something that we read last year, Jade, as well. Oh, can't remember it.
Was it a middle grade?
Yeah, it was a middle grade, and it was picked up for a film. But
Something
I think
we read last year.
maybe Murder Most Unladylike.
Oh,
which I don't. I don't think Jade cares about.
You're making me relive all of my worst memories right now. I'm gonna have to leave.
It might not have been that though. I'm sure that was optioned for like a TV show, but I'm sure there was something else, and it was like, no, I was going to say Nevermore, but that is still happening.
I feel like most things that get picked up by a production company to be a movie or whatever, like I feel like 90% of those productions fall through because of one thing or another. So it's like when people say it's being a movie, I'm like,
yeah, I'll wait.
Like a 2% chance.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
The Wizards of Once, maybe? That sounds like it could be a movie.
Yeah, it does actually.
And the actress name is Marcy Martin.
Marcy Martin. Nice.
What a cute little name. Oh my god.
It is. It is. I love myself an alliteration. Yep. I love it. Like, I wish my name was Gavin Gatherington. I just feel like that would just be amazing.
Gatherington.
But you know what we should really talk about right now is Gusty Gavin Wetherington.
Oh.
I mean, guys, I'll send autographs in the post and whatever, you know. But and also if you send me your book when you buy Rainbow Grey, I will send you a signed copy back. You know, it's all good. But yeah, I did read that recently, and it was honestly the cutest, the most. You know, when you get wrapped up in a hug by a book, that is that kind of book. So
I love that.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, Gusty Gav is definitely. Honestly, when I first heard that Gusty Gav, I thought, it's going to be a character who farts a lot. I just know it. But actually, it's because I have wind magic. So that is why. That is why.
Also would equate to you farting a lot. So
again, yes. But fortunately, I didn't break wind in the book. So I still have my dignity. Of course.
Tracy's letting us know. Yeah.
Cool Squad. That must have been what I saw. But I will honestly love to say it. So the last point then was enjoyment, which we all gave our ratings. It was 554. So enjoyment was really high for all of us. Like when you think of a book like this, it's just enjoyment. It's like action packed. It's escapism. It's like pure escapism. I felt, and I felt like we all could say the same thing. Like it was just like the best way to escape the world right now was to read Amari and the Night Brothers.
Had a fantastic time. Couldn't think of a better way to spend the first 10 hours of Bookoplathon.
Oh my god. Yeah, as if that was a week ago. Did you have a good time reading it then, Jessica? Like when you were reading it, like what was, because sometimes when I read a middle grade, like sometimes I pick up a middle grade when I'm feeling a little bit low, and like it just always, it's a mood booster. I feel like it just boosts my mood. Like was Amari that kind of book for you as well?
It definitely, yeah, it boosted my mood for sure. I will say that the slight the only reason why I docked it a star was because the comparisons to Blackness and stuff did make me a little sad. And I feel like that's a very telling time of like our world and how it is. So it was like slightly escapism, but at the same time, when she's faced with so much against her, it can be kind of debilitating. And that, I think I was like, it was hard to see, but then I really loved like that she stayed true to herself and she kept pushing forward. And it would also, like totally unrelated, be very interesting to see characters who are faced with such odds and turn out not perfect. It's also very weird that we're constantly challenging people to like who are different and oppressed and things like that, and we want them to be perfect people when we're rooting for them. But I feel like most of the time when you're in that circumstance, you're not a perfect person. So I'd also love to see a little bit more of that in the future, like not being like completely capable of, I guess like the kind of chosen one trope in a sense where it's like you beat the odds, yay. So I definitely still enjoyed it. It was really cool, and the most of my enjoyment came from the world. It was so like I could see myself in this world. I could see it happening tomorrow, waking up and like seeing a witch. I'm like, it was just like, it was so exciting. But I will say that was the only reason why my enjoyment was a little bit lower.
If you want to wake up in the morning and see a witch, all you have to do is go on How to Train Your Gavin and boom, there's a witch.
Boom.
But no, honestly, it's totally your opinion. I know, like, it's probably like harder as well, because with so many people saying as well, like, how amazing and how much they loved Amari, like, it's obviously like when you're trying to give your opinion on it, like sometimes it's harder when everybody else is like loving it and you're like, there's just like this one little thing, and like obviously like you've explained it like so well about like why it wasn't like a true 5-star. But we love honesty here. We love honesty on this.
Yay, please don't hate me, guys. I do still like this book.
Everybody loves you in this chat. Everyone has gone and subscribed to you, and if they haven't, they will right now.
You don't have to. It's okay.
Enjoyment was a 10, 9. Solid escapism. Middle grade is my go-to when I'm in a slump. Yeah. Same. I love getting out of a slump with a really good middle grade. Usually, like, because some middle grades are quite long. Like, this is actually quite a big middle grade. It's like 400 pages. So I mean, Amari could definitely get you out of a slump, but usually when I'm in a slump, I go for like the really short middle grades, like literally like 200 pages. That works really well for me.
And you feel so accomplished after like an hour or two of reading. You're like, I finished the book.
I finished the book in like an hour. Yeah, exactly. It's like, and especially since the writing's bigger as well. And yeah, you just like get through them so much quicker. It's just in the illustrations too. This didn't have any illustrations, I don't think.
It has little cute chapter covers. That's, I think, it.
Yeah.
Is that the same in the UK edition? Let me just double check. Oh, yeah, it is. It's the exact same in the UK edition.
Yeah.
Oh, that smells amazing as well, by the way. Everyone needs to sniff their books right now.
Everyone's just sniffing their book.
What has this life come to?
Ravenous Woods has a really good question. What would your superpower be? Because I love how in this world your superpower comes from something that you're already good at or a talent that you already have, and then builds upon it and turns it into a superpower.
Unless you're a lemon squeezer. Let's
not talk about that. Why do you keep bringing up all of the awful things that have happened to us in the last 14 months?
You're so iconic is why. There's so many iconic moments that I can bring up.
I love that. There was a subtle hair flip in there.
Let's just it's always sass with us, honestly. But for me, honestly, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I'm very humble, as people know this. I wouldn't know what my own superpower would be.
It would be the wind power. You would get wind power from your incredible ability to pass wind on demand.
Oh my god, it's so true. It is so true. Actually, yeah, that would be. I would be a wind person. That's my superpower. I can control the wind, but also I can do what Jade just said as well. I don't want to repeat it because I'm above that. I got too much class to repeat that. Well, what about you guys?
I feel like mine would be like shape-shifting or something.
Yours would definitely be high fantasy level, like magical power.
All out.
I just feel like something that I do very frequently is just change my appearance. So shape-shifting feels like that could be like the magical equivalent of that.
Interesting.
Mine would be, I'm very good at predicting things, especially when it comes to like movie plot points. I'm that person who's talking throughout the movie, like, oh, this is going to happen, and it happens. So I feel like mine would have to do with like...
You would be a seer.
Future. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Kind of like almost having like premonitions and things.
Yes, I would love that.
Oh, you do have talents, Rachel. Don't put yourself down like that. Absolutely adore Amari and the Night Brothers. Wonderful writing, unique characters, and a suspenseful, mind-bending storyline. To be fair, yeah. To be fair. Not having to sleep is the superpower I want. Honestly, we'd get so much done if we didn't have to sleep.
I would watch so much TV.
I mean, TV. I mean, I would have said read more books, but that's not going to happen with me. So, TV and film. And look at this. Talking people to Danny, that is rude. But also I kind of appreciate it because you see me. Something to do with singing. That would be a really great superpower. Because in this book as well, people could, wasn't it singing, curing people with song? That was a thing in this book as well. Curing people with songs. That was at the end. Quick reader. Yeah, the hospital. Yeah. Quick reader, super organization. Reading 1,000 pages a second. Wow.
That's a lot. Procrastinating, actually.
That is the one that we would all love, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
That you memorize your stuff. Oh, I would love a really great mind that would remember everything that I read. Because I used to want to be an actor myself when I was like back in school, and I was always think I want to have such a struggle remembering lines. So I always wanted to remember everything that I read. That was a superpower I wanted as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, teleportation. See, these are powers that we'd want, but I don't think I have. If you associated me with a superpower, I don't think teleportation would be it. Good listener. Nice. Able to read fast. That is a great superpower, that would be fair. Singing like Beyonce.
Oh. No.
Keep going. Be like Amari. Like, I feel like this is our mantra now. Be like Amari and it will happen.
Someone will sign you for sure.
100%. You can do it. You can do it. Knowing all the languages. Oh, that is a really good one.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well then, is there anything else that you guys can think of you want to talk about, Amari, or are we? Because I felt like we talked so much, especially about characters. Because, like, just to wrap up, like, I would definitely say, character-wise, as a series opener, I don't usually gravitate towards characters like this early on, unless it's something like Frostheart or like Nevermore. So, like, this is like up there with like my all-time favorite middle grades for characterization and me being totally sucked into a world straight away. It would be totally up there. So I mean, Jessica, like with middle grade, is this up there as well for you?
Oh,
like, what's your favorite middle grade of all time, actually?
I would have to say my favorite middle grade is Nevermore, just because that was another one that I was really, really obsessed with. But I will say I liked Nevermore because of the writing style and how fun it was, and how like it just how the chapters were structured. I feel like I like Amari because of the world, and I feel like that is like when the world is so close to yours. Like Nevermore is similar in a sense, but it's like super like cats talking and things like that. Whereas this one, it's like all the things that we are always told as an adult, like that's not real. So it feels like such a fun escape. Like I wish I had this book when I was younger, because I feel like I would have connected with it so well. So I definitely think it's up there in the favorites. It's there with Nevermore. I tend to read more like, I want to say contemporary middle grade and like YA, so I don't get into the magic elements too much, but I did like it. It was still really good.
There is actually there was one that you really wanted me to read, and I do have it on my
by Jacqueline Wilson, but it's not magical. I just like the perspective because it's like 7 kids who all have like reading disabilities, and they're talking about their perspectives. It's just a really honest heart to heart. And since you like middle grade, you might.
I know I will love it. I know I will love it. Jade, has it made your like top?
You know how hard it is for me to give a middle grade 5 stars.
I know that. It was even tougher. Like I would say back in 2019, it was even tougher for a middle grade to get a 5-star. Like it took some pounding for you to get into that 5-star, but we got there.
Middle grades have to, like, I try and be quite sparse with my 5-star ratings anyway, but especially for middle grades, because I feel like very often they don't have the elements that I love. Like, we know I love adult fantasy, like not suitable for a middle grade monthly live show to talk about the things that I like in books, so I won't. But middle grades obviously don't have those things, so it's really hard for them to end up getting those 5-star ratings. But it was special. So yeah, it's up there with the few that get 5 stars from me.
Ooh, I love it. And you know me, I'm easy. So
sorry, I immediately thought of that being your superpower.
Is it a superpower if I already have it? Like
it just
super is what you're saying already.
That's true. Sorry.
Earlier when I said that I was thirsty. I'm thirsty, you're easy. Together.
Perfect combination.
It is a perfect combination. What we must be given impressions of the people watching. I'm sorry. Tracy did ask what the book was. It was Harbour Me. Was it by Jacqueline Woodson?
Yeah, Jacqueline Woodson. Highly recommend if you want a very diverse middle grade. That's just a cute heart to heart. Well, not cute. It talks about some serious stuff, so be prepared.
I think Amari is one of my favorite middle grades of all time. Really love it. Can't stop thinking about it. It's one that you do think about after you finish it, and that's a testament to the story. Characters, again, is such a great one. Yeah, so I'm glad so many people enjoyed it, and it's definitely one of the most like universally loved middle grade books that we've picked for our book club. So that is good. Although there was another one, I think it was Orion Lost by Alston Chisholm was another one.
I feel like we get one really good pick per year, and this is it for this year.
We've peaked. Like this is
our downhill from here, folks.
It is. Well, I hope not, but it is. And saying that as well, though, actually, Jade will be kind of reading a contemporary in June for.
I will. This is unheard of.
Yeah.
So we're excited to see what is going to happen there, because I'm both really excited but also kind of nervous. But yeah, I know it's like something that Jade doesn't typically read, so it's going to be really interesting to get Jade's perspective on that. I think it'll be really cool. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Like honestly, it's one of my highlights of the month, honestly, is talking middle grade with everyone, doing these live shows. So thank you everyone for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed. Don't forget, the next one is The Witch's Boy by Kelly Barnhill. That's what we'll be reading next. A huge thank you to Jade again for joining me, and a huge thank you to Jessica for joining us as well for this special
Thank you guys for letting me join you. I was very aggressive about wanting to join. I was like, Gavin, I love this book. Let me talk about it.
Now we love you, so like it was a no-brainer, really. So thank you. Anytime. Thank you. It is really nice. It is really nice to have you here. What month is Me My Dad? It's in June for Pride. It is Pride in the UK in June, so we thought it would be perfect for this one. So thank you again. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, super anxious. Oh, no. Oh, you'd never have to be anxious with us. It's a safe space here. We love talking about books with you all, so it's all good. So yeah, again, thank you so much, everyone. We're going to go and enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. Bye.